Hello, so today I thought I'd try making a vlog again, which I hardly ever do anymore, and I kind of miss it sometimes, especially if I watch somebody else's vlog and it's helpful and I kind of think, oh, I would like to still do that sometimes, but it feels a bit impossible because I have so many other things I need to keep up with each week. Especially doing the radio, it takes a lot of preparation and kind of constantly have to keep up with it. But I thought I would just try it today. I just want to share a few things that I've been thinking about the last few weeks and things that I've been learning. And it is Saturday morning and Johan has taken two of the children out to do some shopping and get them things they need. And one of my other ones is not feeling 100%, so she's laying down having a rest, watching a video with Lydia. So I'm going to try making a video before I finish all my jobs for the morning. The first thing I'm going to share, I was actually thinking about sharing this in a video back, I think it was at the beginning of the month, and then I never did make a video, so I'm going to share that now. So one thing that I struggle with a lot is feeling overwhelmed, and it's partly because there are so many things I need to keep up with each week, and it just sometimes feels too much. And so I do pray a lot about if there's anything, you know, I'm doing that I don't need to do, or if there's anything I should stop doing. But yeah, everything I am doing is something God has given me to do. It's an opportunity, and so I can't really just stop it unless God shows me I should. So but one thing, you know, if you do pray about things, you know, when you feel overwhelmed or you're struggling, God does always answer in some way or another. And so with being very busy, I don't feel like I keep everything under control very well. Like, there are so many things I keep up with each week, and then there are so many things I want to do. For example, like making a vlog this morning, and so I feel kind of disorganized. Like, I sometimes wish I could just have all the things I do and have them completely under my control. Like, for example, like blogging or making videos. There's so many different kind of videos I can make, and sometimes you just kind of get an idea to make one and then you do it, but it's like just kind of random. And sometimes I wish I could just keep everything I do, you know, kind of on a schedule and organized. But then, so I was praying about that, and the kind of came to me about Philip, how he was busy doing, you know, like preaching, and then an angel told him to go down into the desert, and he obeyed, and he went down there, and there was the Ethiopian eunuch who needed someone to explain the Bible to him. And I just thought, you know, I can't have everything under my control and be led by God's Spirit. You know, God's Spirit told him to go and talk to that man. So, you know, God is not predictable. And if we follow him, our life is not going to be all completely, you know, organized the way we would like it. If we're going to be led by God's Spirit, then it's not always going to be organized and under our control. Because if we're led by God's Spirit, then God may put something in our heart to do that wasn't on our schedule or wasn't on our plan. You know, it wasn't in Philip's schedule to go out into the desert. It wasn't in his plan, but it was in God's plan. So if we're following God, then it may include doing things that weren't in our plan or weren't on our to-do list. So yeah, God doesn't fit into a schedule, and he is full of surprises, and frustration can come when I try to keep everything under my control. God has a way of interrupting our plans. But when we just obey God, then God can do amazing things, like what he did with the Ethiopian eunuch. He changed his life, and, you know, I always wonder how the story finished. You know, that guy went back home, but who knows what came out of his life being changed and of Philip obeying God. I'm sure many more people in his town heard the gospel and got saved as well. So God can do so much when we are led by God's Spirit and we are obedient to him, even when it doesn't fit in with our plans. So if we want to be led by God's Spirit, we can't have everything under our control. So that's one thing I found helpful. Another thing, sometimes when you are giving a lot, like for me, teaching and writing, and you can feel like you're doing all these things, you're giving to other people, and then sometimes I feel like, right, I need somebody to give to me now. I'm the one that needs giving to, because I've got nothing left. And so I was thinking about that one time when I was feeling like that, and, you know, like if you think like that, I need somebody to give to me now, you can be very discouraged because nobody knows what you need. Nobody knows what I need, when I need it. And the thought came to me as I was praying about it. God is the one that I need to go to fill my needs. I can't expect other people to know what I need and to give to me. God is like the fountain. God is the one that we need to go to be filled. And he doesn't disappoint. He knows what we need. But if we're looking for, being filled or being satisfied from other people, we will be disappointed because they don't know what we need. And so I wrote in my journal at the time, this was back in September, when I've been given a lot, I can feel empty. I feel like I have nothing left to give and that it's my turn to have someone give to me. It's not wrong to want to be filled, but we need to go to God to be filled. If we expect that from people, we'll be disappointed. How can people know what we need? So that's actually an encouragement because we can go to God anytime we have his word, which fills us and satisfies us. If we had to depend on people, then that would be pretty discouraging. So those are two things. And then the other day I was feeling overwhelmed again. And so it was actually nearly dinner time. So I was supposed to be doing dinner, but I was just feeling really overwhelmed with everything. So I actually went and sat outside for a while with my Bible just to take some time out to pray. And I have a little notebook. So I was writing down the things I was finding overwhelming. Writing it down, and then you can pray about it. But a verse came to my mind that I'd actually read in the morning. So I have a King James Bible, but through my online bookshop that I run, I got this Bible which somebody donated. It's a New Living Translation. It's a praise and worship study Bible, so it's got like a lot of prayers and it's got different facts and stuff like that. So I read the King James, but sometimes I read this alongside it, and it just sometimes it's kind of enlightening to see to read a different version alongside your own, like just to see the verses and different words can be helpful. So I read the verse in that Bible about Abraham and Sarah because I'm reading through Hebrews, and I was up to Hebrews 11. So this verse said, it was by faith that Sarah together with Abraham was able to have a child even though they were too old and Sarah was barren. Abraham believed that God would keep his promise. And so a whole nation came from this one man Abraham, who was too old to have any children. A nation with so many people that like the stars of the sky and the sand on the seashore, there is no way to count them. So I had read that in the morning, and it really struck me how she was too old and she was barren. So that was like a double impossibility. But, God still made her have a baby. God did a miracle. And so when I was sitting outside and I was feeling really overwhelmed and I was praying, and one of the things that overwhelmed me was that I needed to plan 2 radio programs. And this was maybe, I don't know, maybe Tuesday maybe. And often at the beginning of the week, so like I do the radio on Monday, and then after that I need to plan for the next week. And like I can't plan it all out in advance because I don't know week to week what I'm doing. So I do go through like chronologically through the Bible, so I always know what Bible story I'm doing. But then I need a few other stories or other illustrations to go along with it because it's like a half an hour program, and I'm not someone who naturally talks a lot. And so it's quite overwhelming to have to plan 2 in 1 week. And I didn't really have any ideas for either of them. And so that was kind of overwhelming. And then like I still need to teach the Bible during the week, and like there's just so many other things going on as well. So I was praying about it. I was like, it feels like a double burden to have to plan 2, and I didn't really have any clues about what I was gonna teach. And this story came back to my mind. This verse came back to my mind, how Sarah had a double impossibility. She was barren and she was too old, and yet God made her have a baby. And it just in that moment, it just made me realize how we can be so focused on the impossibilities or the things that we find hard. But God is a great God, and He is not limited. And when we keep our eyes on Him and how powerful He is, then He can help us do things that to us seem so hard or so impossible. And I wrote down, God's promise to Sarah and Abraham was doubly impossible. But it wasn't too hard for God. Sometimes what God has for us also seems doubly hard or impossible. But when we keep our eyes on the greatness of God instead of the greatness of the difficulties, God does great things in and through us, doubly impossible things. It doesn't matter how weak or incapable we are when we are trusting a great God to keep his word. So if Sarah had her eyes on herself and how impossible it was, you know, like there was just no hope. But when she looked at God and his promise, and God can do all things. So in that moment, it kind of took my eyes off all the things that seemed too hard and, you know, put my eyes back on God again, who can do great and amazing things. And, you know, every time he does help me come up with ideas for the radio again, every week he does help me, but it's just, you know, at the beginning of the week when you don't know what you're going to do, it can seem very overwhelming. And then another verse from Hebrews 11, I think this was yesterday or the day before I read it. So this was in the New Living Translation again. It says, Moses kept right on going because he kept his eyes on the one who is invisible. So that's the same thing again about keeping your eyes on God, not on yourself, not on the situations, you know, on the difficulties. But if we just keep our eyes on God, then we're able to just keep on going and to be faithful if we trust in him. And all right, when you keep your eyes on God, you are able to keep going. So keep looking up. And then just one more verse, which I read this morning. I actually slept in a bit this morning because I went to bed late last night. And so I just kind of read the Bible for a bit shorter than what I would usually do. But I read Proverbs 20, verse 25. So in the King James, it says, the fear of man brings a snare, but he that putteth his trust in the Lord shall be safe, or something like that. And in the other one, it says, fearing people is a dangerous trap, but to trust the Lord means safety. So this caught my attention because, I'm planning 2 radio programs for Monday. And last night, I realized I still didn't really have many ideas for one of them, the one about the Red Sea. And so last night I was praying about it when I was in the shower, and then a story came into my mind, which is a perfect story for that Bible story that goes along with like the theme. And so yeah, it is amazing how God can bring things to your mind. But that one, that lesson for the radio is about being trapped, so like about the Red Sea. And so this verse caught my attention. Fearing people is a dangerous trap, but to trust the Lord means safety. So when we are afraid of what people think of us, or afraid of what people will think, then that is a trap. It can trap us and keep us from moving forward and doing what God wants us to do. But when we trust in the Lord, then we are safe. And there are a lot of people in the stories in the Bible that kind of illustrate that. So like Daniel, he didn't fear men. He trusted in God, and God did keep him safe. And then this week I taught the story of Esther at school, and you know, she didn't fear the king. Well, she was afraid, but she went to the king instead of just being afraid of him. And you know, God worked things out for her. And yeah, like Noah, he didn't fear people, he feared God, he trusted in God, and he obeyed God, even though it meant doing something that was kind of crazy. So there's lots of illustrations about people who feared God instead of fearing people. And then there are illustrations of people who did fear people, like Peter, when he was afraid of the people who were saying that he knew Jesus. And yeah, there's other ones as well. So those are a few different things that I've been learning, and I hope something in them encourages you. And I'll maybe share a few videos and photos from the last few weeks and maybe over the holidays. So usually during the holidays I don't go and do the radio, but that means that there are times that I need to do 2 so that I can keep up, since it does go every week. So I pre-record them. But the last week of school, Lydia was sick, so I couldn't get there. So to keep ahead, I wanted to go once in the holidays because Hannah is old enough to babysit now. So I took Esther with me, and so she's on that radio session a little bit, and she also took some photos and videos, which I can show you a little of the behind the scenes. I hope you have a good day.